We're good? All right, the mayor walked out, but we still have quorum. So, all right, we'll call the meeting to order. Thanks, everyone, for coming in on a rainy day. It's pretty gross out there. Anyways, call the meeting to order. Any declarations of conflict of interest? Okay, seeing none. Can I get the approval of the agenda, please? Moved and seconded. Thank you. Adoption of the minutes from the October 26, 2021 meeting. Moved and seconded. Thank you again. All right, any business arising from those minutes? All right, seeing none. So we'll move right into reports, fire, operational, and then fire updates. Chief, whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. The operational report from October 19th to November 16th. There were a total of 59 fire inspections, 4 inspections up to 59, 28 follow-up inspections, 7 hazard compliance orders were issued, and inspection files closed, there were 20. Plans review, permits and consultations, there were 7. Fire drills and education, there were 5 occurrences, and fire investigations, there were 3. For emergency responses, a total of 64 alarms. Station 1 had 39, Station 2 had 19, and fire inspectors were called out 6 times. The total amount of time is 27 hours and 14 minutes. Station 1 had 11 hours and 51 minutes, Station 2 had 12 hours and 55 minutes, and the inspectors call-outs amounted to 2 hours and 28 minutes. Also, our department was busy with training on a weekly basis. Consisted of JPRs involving car fires and live fires. They spent time working and training with saws. They also done elevated and below-grade rescues, and they practiced with the new ground ladder that is now on ladder 1. It's a 45-foot ladder. So they practiced with that as well. And on November 6th, the department participated in a large training exercise involving Irving Oil Marine Terminal, where they commissioned their new foam system for their flammable liquid storage tanks. So in all, we were on Riverside Drive at 7 a.m., both Station 1 and Station 2, and we had a pumper relay. We used about 5 vehicles, 5 pieces of apparatus, and were able to supply their new foam system with 1,750 gallons per minute. We're using the hydrant down in front of the wastewater treatment facility. So we didn't impede on the traffic flow, which was great. And we had a good day, and we had good weather, and everybody was pleased and happy, and the guys had exercised the equipment fairly well. So we done that on November 6th. Also, on November 7th, we were with change of clock changer batteries at McDonald's. The firefighter gave it 223 batteries along with fire safety. And of course, as you know, we're involved in the Christmas this week. So that would conclude that report.
So you don't have any counselors in the back bugging your firefighters this time?
I hear you guys are doing great. You're on
We're going to be out in the cold this time.
Oh, is that?
No, we had the fire truck last year. The nice warm fire truck and the microphone.
Just appropriately.
Any questions for the chief on?
Yes, Chief, on the news the other day, they were talking about volunteer firefighters, but we're okay with that, right? They're saying there's such a shortage. Conference the other night?
Yeah, I missed the media piece on it. I was aware of Brian Higgins' interview. We were doing a volunteer recruitment campaign that started September 20th. Right now, we have 48 information packages picked up, and of that, 22 individuals have provided their necessary information, background check, medical check, driver's abstract. All that information has come back. So this Saturday, we'll be going through a fitness evaluation with 22 recruits. And then it'll be interviews with those individuals, and then hopefully from that on to fire school, 1st of January.
So that basically, just follow, Mr. Chair, that basically did not affect us, that news release, basically in Charlotte.
Right. Charlestown, the last.
Because we're okay with that?
Right, we're good.
Good. And once again, I asked the same question. How many volunteer firefighters do we usually have?
Right now, we're sitting at 83 firefighters, volunteer firefighters.
Like, do you cap it off at 83 or?
Well, we'd like to take it to 100 if we could.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to go back to amalgamation numbers, if that's possible. So, you know, when you have 22 candidates sitting there ready to go, we'll be able to achieve our goals, I believe.
That's good. Okay, thank you.
What were amalgamation numbers?
Now, the main numbers are roughly around 110 with career and volunteers in Sherwood, Parkdale, and Charlestown.
Wow. Any other questions operational? Councillor Duran, any questions operational for fire?
No, not at all, thank you.
All right, Chief, into updates.
Yeah, got a few things here. As you know, I've been beating the drum very well. The new ladder truck has arrived. And with the final inspection that had taken place, it's situated at Station 2. Manufacturer training will take place at the end of this month, the 30th of November, 1st of December, and then the gear will be taken off the ladder one, put on a new ladder one, and be put into service. So that's the process. Old ladder one will be sold off wherever we can. I'll make that advertisement in the coming weeks. Also, the fire prevention bylaw revision. I have a copy of it here, Mr. Chair, and I'm going to provide it to you and go through it at your will.
Thank you. Thanks, Chief.
Also, the MOUs, EMO MOUs have all been updated now and circulated to everybody, so that the project is finalized. During next year, with our new candidates, we may need to extend the capital budget a little bit, but I won't know those numbers until probably the first of the year. So we'll be coming back looking for some extended dollars for turnout gear for the new career fire or new volunteer firefighters. Christmas dollars, as you'll recall, last year we said the firefighters ball due to COVID, we had Christmas dollars. We have funds in the budget to be able to do that again this year, and so we should have a committee here. So, we'll continue.
Yeah, I'm certainly good with it. Your Worship.
Was that again, sorry?
You weren't listening?
Yeah.
I'm just teasing. Go ahead, Chief. You wanna?
Yeah, last year.
Looking for more dollars, that's all I heard.
No. This is the good story on the other end.
I got the dollars already.
Good.
We have money in the budget. Of course, this year we didn't have firefighters ball since last year, but we have money in the budget to look after downtown dollars where they can go and have a meal and sit in recognition. And that will be for both our current firefighters and our retired firefighters as well. So we would just kind of duplicate what we did last year.
Excellent idea.
Okay.
Do you hear that, Councillor Drawn?
Yes, I will, Jack.
Okay, are you okay with that?
Yes.
Councillor Ramsey, you okay?
Excellent.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, very good. I'll make sure that happens. The capital budget, prepared. Do you want to circulate it, or do you want to go to a closed session later on, or?
So,
In closed session.
if you wanted to do that after this, your name, then you could into the capital piece.
Okay. We'll do it after this meeting, then we'll shut this meeting down and, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll discuss after.
I'll also carry on, the fire department radio system, we have a full inspection of the radio system completed, all equipment operated as per specifications, which is good, and I had already previously mentioned training at the Irving Oil, so that concludes my report. Sure.
All right. Any questions for the Chief? Yes, Your Worship.
One of the biggest updates I have to always ask about, where are we at with the fire station?
With the fire station,
We must be near design ready to go to tender.
that's a question probably best answered by the architect, Robert Hagus, as to where we are with the timeline. We met last week, the executive group did meet last week, and we had a discussion with regards to the communication tower, and we're getting some information to come back to another meeting with what we need for communication tower.
So you're saying the communications tower is holding up the design, or is the design being held up by the architect?
No.
Trying to figure it out.
No, sir, no.
What is it?
The floor plan has been completed.
Okay.
We know the floor plan. We know the exterior of the building has been completed. One of the pieces that came along was the communication tower.
Right.
So now we're dealing with that.
Is that an integral part of the building structure, or is it a separate structure?
No, it's a separate structure.
Okay.
You would see in the back here, the tower that would be.
So could we not go ahead with a tender, like prepare the tender for the fire station and it'd be part of the capital budget? because we capitalized it last year at what, 4.5 million? And I think we dipped into it because of over cost on sidewalks out in Ward 3 and in Ward 2. So just really want to, like, we've been going on, it's come up to 2 years we've been working on this file.
Right.
And again, to me, it should be at the top of the update. So will we be able to, it's November 23rd, will there be a tender process, whether the architect signs off or not, that we can start working on this for the new year?
Right. In one of our last meetings, second last meeting, there was discussion as to when we could bring something to council. And at that time, the architect was going out to get a cost estimate to collect that information, be able to come to council sometime in early January with that information. So in that presentation in January, you would find out the scheduling and exactly what the cost estimate looks like. So we're currently looking at money.
So if you're going to go over the capital budget, are we going to go with 4.5 million again?
Right now, we would, yes.
And we don't have an estimate yet from the architect.
There's a cost projection now of 4.4, so we've got to still go with the 4.5 for sure.
Okay, good. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
So January, we're looking at January.
We're looking at January. Last I heard your worship was January, having a meeting with council.
And the architect, the chief, would, I'm assuming, be part of that meeting?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We'll get all our answers then.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
You're welcome.
So shovels wouldn't be in the ground till the spring anyway?
But I
Yeah,
wouldn't think, yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. Councilor Duran, any questions for the chief?
No, that sounds great, thank you.
Okay, thanks, chief. That's it?
That's completely my report.
Okay, awesome, thank you. All right, moving into police operational. Chief?
Thank you, Chair. Calls for service for November so far are 1,076 compared to 865 last year. We are seeing an increase in the number of reports of people sleeping in such locations as ATM and green spaces throughout the city. We are certainly concerned by that, but we're also fortunate that have some funding from the federal government to have created this new community wellness team within CPS in support of the mobile mental health unit and panhandling and other initiatives. So we will task that team with following up to make sure that these individuals are aware of services available or work with them to try to improve their outcome. It's not solely a policing issue, it's a social issue, but certainly we are at the forefront of it. So we're working to address that. We do have some road checks scheduled for the month of December, some joint forces road checks to raise awareness to impaired driving, especially as approach the holidays. We'll be inviting the chair, the mayor, the Minister of Justice to participate in those road checks, and we hope to attend. We do have some CPS, Charlestown Police Services branded ice scrapers that we'll be handing out as part of the road check to raise an awareness to safe winter driving tips. So looking forward to that. We'd also like to invite members of this committee and to attend a demonstration of the tactical team at the Charlestown Fire School on December 10th. And I'll firm up the time, Chair, if you would send it out to.
Okay, you'll send it. Okay, perfect.
But we have this capacity within our police services, and we certainly like to showcase it to committee and council who have been supportive of this initiative. Deputy Chief McCarron, anything else in operational you want to pass on?
I have one question, Chief, if you don't mind, or Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilor Ramsey.
When you say people are staying in where the ATM machines are and everything, when you remove them, where do they go? Like, do you just move them on, or do you have a place to put them, or?
Well, it depends on the circumstances. It can be high circumstances, depending on what they're doing. If they're intoxicated or all those other types of factors. Oftentimes we we will transport them to shelters or other places, but it's through this community wellness scheme that we hope to improve their outcomes by putting them in touch with sustainable services that will keep them from having to find those shelters at nighttime. So it's an unfortunate reality, and again, the police are kind of at the forefront of it, and we're fortunate to have our community wellness officers to have the dedicated resources to deal with it.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, I know this came up, sorry, Mr. Chair, if I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chief, this came up back in November 16 regarding the druggings issue with date drugs. I know that Gordon McNeely, the MLA for District 15, is the chair of the Health and Social Development Standing Committee. And that's the committee that oversees matters concerning health, social programs, sports, seniors, justice and public safety, emergency measures, Indigenous affairs, Francophone affairs, and status of women, persons with disabilities, housing charities. So they're probably going to call groups, individuals to their committee to discuss this issue, I'm sure, in the new year. Are you and the deputies planning to prepare a group to address this issue?
Also, I think it's an issue that's come to the forefront, and we have not received a request yet, but we're anticipating that request, and certainly, I have every confidence that we will be prepared and certainly be in a good position to educate the community on various factors around this issue.
Yeah, and I know there was an editorial last week where some person representing a group that's quite concerned about it is that we all have a responsibility. So if you're at a bar and you see someone dropping something into someone's drink, just don't turn your head, turn away from it, address it with that person or the person's drink that may be affected. So we're all part of this, but if any support that the council can give our police services in their preparation to the committee, and any resource that we need, that should be part of if not the capital budget, definitely the operational budget. So I just want to make sure that we're totally on board with the efforts that the police services are doing in this issue.
Appreciate that, Your Worship.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right. Councillor Duran, any questions with regards to the operational update?
No, great, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Into the personnel.
Happy to inform committee that we'll be holding interviews tomorrow for the executive unit position for the chief's office. So I don't know if anyone can replace Helen, but
Not a whole.
I'm hoping she applied.
Not a whole.
we're going to interview some ones that.
Will she be part of the interviewing committee?
No, she's not.
She should be.
Her input is valued for sure. So we're looking forward to getting that and allowing Helen to further transition into her much-deserved retirement. So,
Well, they may be looking for her over in Stratford too. There's police
I'm
officers over
surprised someone
there.
hasn't sold her at this point. Number of training initiatives throughout the month too, regarding impaired driving, so field sobriety testing. And we also hosted some training for a new device to test saliva roadside in efforts to combat impaired driving. So certainly impaired driving is an important topic for all of us, and we're certainly at the forefront of the initiatives that are working towards combating it. So that's what I have for personnel.
Okay.
Sure.
Just to follow up there as well, we just recently hired 2 part-time police constables, Ryan Ormond, who worked with us this summer, and Cassidy McGee, who graduated from the academy last year and has been working with us as part-time dispatcher up until now. So they've been added to the part-time complement.
Wow, just gets better and better. Any questions for Chief on the personnel side? Nothing? Councillor Duran, any questions?
No, I don't, Greg, thank you.
All right, moving into bylaws.
Our bylaws have been working, dealing with a lot of garbage related issues over the month. We've also been busy getting quotes on the demolition of 103 Back and Point Road, so which is occupied part of his time. That's it for bylaw.
Okay. No questions?
Just on the bylaw.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, we're looking at this STR framework and how we have to provide the enforcement of it, which includes SOTs, summary offense ticketing. I don't know if that will go through police enforcement or if it adds someone else, but with the summary offense ticketing for zoning development bylaw, Chief, do you know if that requires a change to the Planning Act, Provincial Legislative Planning Act? A schedule to add a schedule to? You know that?
Yeah, I don't know that offhand, Your Worship. I can certainly.
Could you follow up, please?
Follow it up.
Because if that's part of the process, that means we have to wait until the legislative assembly opens again in the spring.
So there's a different level of ticketing for municipalities, so we have our own bylaw, summary offense tickets,
Yeah.
which is different than the provincial.
Right.
But I can give the answer to that question.
Could you, please? Thank you, sir.
All right, community policing.
Couple things to go over. Start with some good news. Another letter of appreciation. Seem to bring at least one to the table every month. Helen dictated this from a person who called in. I received a call from Becky Kelly, who works at Longworth House, located at 27 Old King Square. She didn't know the names of the officers involved and wanted to pass on her thanks for the kindness shown by our officers to a particular client when they required assistance on the morning of October 12th with the client. She said the client was manic and that the exceptional kindness shown to him by our two officers, which were Constable Miller and Sergeant Pound, were exceptional, and she felt that she wanted to pass on the compliment to our office. They were kind and very understanding to him, and she was very impressed.
Awesome.
So it's a little bit of good news. Also, I don't know if you remember, but we had a very successful turkey drive pre-pandemic out at the Sobeys. Jay Scotland was involved. One of our constables, Constable Steve Collins, is trying to start it up again, even though we still have some restrictions with the pandemic. Unfortunately, CBC is not able to participate this year with respect to Jay Scotland, but Constable Collins has been able to secure the large superstore in Charlestown, so we'll be hosting that on December 4th. And we have lots of in-house volunteers, police officers, and Copper will be there doing his part. So we'll get back to you on some of the success of that. It was a really good showing pre-pandemic back in 2019.
Yeah, give us details, because some of us may want to attend and help out as well.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. I'll let you know some more. Also, from the community action team, they had a very successful 3-day enforcement campaign specifically in school zones. This happened on November 2nd, and the team was able to issue 8 speeding tickets going over 20 kilometers an hour, which is quite a bit in the school zone. And they charged 3 for being 60 kilometers in a school zone. November 3rd, they issued 8 speeding charges, laid 20 kilometers over in school zone. They charged 2 being 60 kilometers over in school zone. November 4th, they issued 17 speeding tickets, 20 over in school zone, and laid an additional 2 highway traffic tickets for going 60 over in school zone. They issued 3 tickets for failing to stop at the stop sign and the crosswalks in the school zone. issued 6 charges for stop signs on Pine Drive in the school zone, and issued 7 charges for stop signs on Palmer Lane in that school zone. So a very successful 3-day campaign by the community action team, which was a total of 49 charges in all over the 3 days. Further to that, individually, our community action team, Constable Johnson, did additional community-related enforcement on Apple Tree, Raspberry Lane, Dawson Court, Beach Grove Road, Kenwoods Circle, Royalty Road, Upton Road, Lower Malpeck, and Brackley Point Road, all areas in his jurisdiction. He was able to lay 56 summary offense ticket charges and 14 warnings. Constable Coffin did community enforcement on Oak Drive, Maple, Oak and Rogers, Oak and Barber, Pine and Maple, Northridge Parkway, and Andrews Court, Palmer's Lane, and Vic Campbell. He was able to lay 130 summary offense tickets and 43 warnings. Constable Kaiser, who has secondary duties, plays a significant role in a lot of the upcoming planning for the holiday season, such as Victorian Christmas Market, Santa Claus Parade, and also he's working on multi-jurisdictional road check planning, such as the one the chief mentioned earlier. We've also been in talks with Public Works on some concerns we have with the Victorian Christmas, that the safety barricades are put in place for that, especially in light of some of the issues that have happened down in the States here recently. School resource officers, Constable McKay, on top of her other duties, has been working with law enforcement torch run and Special Olympics. She attended their annual general meeting and presented awards. She continues to coach the Charlestown Royals AAA soccer team. And she's also started the process of an early start for the Healthy Me classes. Constable Chantal Costello, who's at Colonel Gray, is also long-term duties, was branched out to virtually intermediate school to deal with some instances. She also branched out to Queen Charlotte in relation to some issues with vehicles lunchtime. She's dealt with additional speeding at Colonel Gregg in the parking lots and has done some enforcement in that area. And she also started an early start with her Healthy Me schedule. Her classes actually begin November 22nd. Our integrated liaison officer, Constable Meisner, is continuing with his work. He's still busy on Tuesdays and Thursdays doing his bridge training with the province, along with additional time at the outreach center. And our community response team actually were boots on the ground November 4th, and they've been conducting daily patrols in the downtown area, trying to address some of the issues that the chief had mentioned earlier, along with the outreach center. And they're also available to the provincial mobile health unit whenever they call in. As well as they're also taking some of the call volume off the general patrol with mental health calls. And that's my report.
Thank you, Deputy. That's, I always, nothing against you, Chief, but I always like when community policing is the longest update. It's always nice.
Good news, good news.
That is our policing model.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Ramsey.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. I've been in contact, or the people have been contacting me on Raiders Road, that parking lot that we own.
Yes.
Between the two ball fields, as you know all about it.
Yeah.
And we're shutting it down for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Dale McIsaac, the principal, got a hold of me again yesterday, and he just said he's gonna make a public announcement at the school. But one email I received, which I passed on to other people, was said around 2 o'clock in the morning, they're going in there and they're doing donuts and all that, so I just wondered if there's any chance we can, like, having a cruiser.
Absolutely, we'll flip
You know,
that
things
over
like that.
to our patrol officers
Yeah.
that work the night shifts.
And I just received an email from Dale Johnson too, was saying that they're gonna shut her down for 2 days. This is no school Friday, that's why we're doing it. Wednesday, Thursday.
Right,
And then if things don't pick up, like garbage and all that stuff,
yeah.
she's gonna be shut down completely from the
Yeah.
city.
Yeah, I read that too. There's an uptake in garbage and litter in that area.
Yeah, because he said to me, Mr. McIsaac, on the phone there yesterday, he said that last year, for example, one child who lives by Fort Augustus, who goes to school, he threw papers all over the place, so he went and picked them all up and found out who it was and raked out to his house. And his mother wasn't impressed, but they were back the next day cleaning it all up. So that's just things, because you have the Habits apartments that are overlooking that,
Mm-hmm.
and at 2 o'clock in the morning, like, you know, when we see cars wheeling and dealing in there.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. But it's gonna be looked after, I was told, so I'd like to thank you for that.
Okay, and we'll have the extra patrols out there on the night shifts.
So I guess I'm not really addressing this to anyone in particular, but really encouraged by the amount of ticketing that's going on. Not so much from again, it's not about a money standpoint, it's all about driver behavior. And when I hear about the sheer numbers that you're providing to us, you know, not only from our community policing team, but, you know, the officers within the school system, you know, the school zone areas. I mean, we're talking 3 days, and, you know, that's a fairly small sample of a big problem.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the one thing I've learned from the police department, or I guess, you know, for the most part, is talking about just behavior. And, you know, it goes beyond ticketing. So, you know, your continued work is appreciated. I know it's appreciated by residents, and like I said, we've been seeing a lot more in the community, so keep up the good work. And, yeah.
Well, Chair, this goes back to our first citizen survey, where our residents raised concerns about traffic-related issues. And our community action team is our response to that. So, you know, we're happy to be able to deliver on increased ticketing and enforcement in response to those concerns. And we appreciate committee and council support in able to form this team to address those issues. So it's a shared, you know, a shared win, you know, for everyone involved, because we're all part of playing part improving the situation. So.
Yeah, good. Deputy, do you mind sending me some of those numbers that you updated today? Do you mind sending me an email just capturing some of that data? Just
No problem.
thank you. The outreach, yeah, sorry, just the outreach center. The outreach center. Have the call volume gone down? So I know we talked about it a couple of months ago. Just kind of curious if
the calls have, you know, they haven't gone away, but they've, you know, steadily decreased. Not in a remarkable amount, but I think of what a lot of you heard from our reports are really community-based focused,
Yep.
upstream approaches. We see that, you know, as a key ingredient to our community policing model. And having those resources, I think will you know, continually to improve the outcomes for everyone involved. Not just the people that are using the outreach center, but the people that live in the residual areas and the people affected by it. But this is a shared responsibility. It's not solely a policing responsibility. And we'll continue to work with our partners to improve the outcomes.
Yeah, yeah. And Mr. Chair, if I can just add,
Yep.
I go up there, I'm uptown every day, and you know, the situation there is pretty grave, and I've spoken to Alan Hicken at the Charlestown Outreach Center. They're working beyond their capacity, and it's a mental health crisis. This is a provincial matter. They have to step up, and I think the province is looking at it seriously, but if we just think we're going to ignore it and it will go away, it's not going away. Like the numbers of identified homeless people, we needed a spot number 147 homeless people in the Charlottetown area. Like it's getting worse. That gulf between the haves and the have-nots is getting wider, and these are the consequences of social injustice when we don't take into consideration the illnesses that we have.
Yeah, there's some deep-rooted mental health issues.
Yeah.
And it's really about building resilience and community resilience. And that's been our approach. You know, if we look at all the opportunities that our police services play a role at engaging youth at the early stages, from the Health and Meet program right through to our school resources, officers and beyond. It's really about maintaining that continuity of youth development to make sure that police are playing a part in increasing their resilience and the community resilience to these types of impacts. So there's no easy solutions and there's no quick solutions to it, but it's going to take a lot of work from a lot of organizations and the community to overcome them.
But on the topic, just to chime in here, so, you know, Your Worship, I've heard you on a number of occasions talking about the province, you know, looking into. There's a big difference between looking into and doing, right? And I guess my question then comes back and just says, do you feel like the police services here, especially when we're talking about mental health and lack of housing, and we talked about the parks and everything else, are we getting enough support from the province? You know, again, and when I say that, it just goes back to what Your Worship said, which is looking into. It's not action, and it's not an action. Like, what are the action items coming from the province that are assisting you and your department to do your job effectively?
Well, certainly, you know, I can say for the last few governments, they've been very supportive of our initiatives. You know, in our upstream approaches, you know, the provincial bridge program was started from the last Liberal government. That support continued on to this government. They've been supportive of a Healthy Meat program. Both levels of government supported our Healthy Meat program. Our funding for our new 2 community wellness officers are funded through the province. You know, so we're certainly appreciative of the support we got. You know, will we continue to ask for more, identify more needs? Probably, as police are at the forefront of this issue. We'll continue to make sure that we challenge others and at all levels of government to support us in our efforts to play our part, and certainly we'll keep committee and council apprised of those needs.
Okay, awesome.
And you're right on there, Chair, that, look, we've been asking, you know, we know who's responsible for it, but just talking about it is not getting it done. And our responsibility is an enforcement piece, and I think we're doing a very good job on the enforcement side of keeping the peace and good order at the Charlestown Outreach Center and the other centers that are in that area, Bedford McDonald House, Deacon House. It's like, it's a whole zone that has been captured or has taken all these responsibilities. And there's still a rally call for a safe needle injection site. That hasn't been determined yet, because we talk to neighbors that live in that area, the Charlottetown Outreach Center. There are lots of paraphernalia all over the place.
And the reason I asked that question, again, just touching on what the mayor said, is we tend to be the front line to a lot of these issues, and because of that, we're, you know, with social media, everything else, we're either painted with a with a positive stroke or a negative stroke by social media, based on how, again, we're just the face of most of the time, and we just want to make sure that we're getting the support from the next level of government to be able to deal with the real issue at hand, which is, like I said, is just around the mental health issue and some of the bigger items, and not the day-to-day stuff.
Is the fencing going to be, which is going up now, is that going to help or hinder? Because is that going to be like almost a hidden building back there now, and are they going to be? I just asked for personal.
Yeah, I think the fence would be a good step, but, you know, there's a lot of concerns from the neighbors there with people cutting through.
Right.
It's certainly, you know, a design feature that will to do it. It's meant to just keep the trespassing and the transit, and because a lot of people that are seeking these services, you know, are good people, and you know, I think, you know, we've addressed some of it by just educating that people don't appreciate cutting through the lawn, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, when they're in such need of the services or in states that you know, prevent them from using their best judgment, this is the fence is a reminder. Okay, I should be going around, and the fence is a reminder of that. So I think it's a combination of things. It's through education and environmental design. and structures like the fence that will improve the situation, so.
And that's all supplied by the province, right?
And I think it's important, I think that's an important piece to
Oh,
what you
yeah.
just said is not the fence so much as sorry, what the chief just said is that these are good people. These are people that may have been handed sometimes a bad card in life and and struggle, and it's not like, you know, we're talking about these people as all being criminals. They've
I truly believe that. They all have mothers and grandmothers.
Exactly.
And parents and brothers and sisters. And we've had instances where, you know, we simply just educate them about this person having concerns about them loitering near the property and, and that residents' perception of safety as opposed to the reality. And most of these people, when you articulate it in the right way and explain it and do it in a respectful way, will do the right thing. It's just not always in the best frame of mind to exercise the best judgment. And, so we don't want to sell anyone short, including the clients there.
And if I just could add, Mr. Chair, is that we have a neighborhood, an immediate neighborhood that has absorbed a lot of increased activity in this area. It went from a dormant curling camp to a very active site, and then you add the other facilities that are connected to the Charlestown Outreach Center. It's been a lot of pressure on that Ward 1 and the south part of Ward 4 to absorb. So I know the neighbors are taking on a lot, but I think that we're doing the best we can, and I'm just like yourself, Mr. Chair, we're asking the provincial government to, you know, this whole mental health crisis has to be dealt with first and foremost, and we can't wait for the new mental health and acute care campus out off Acadian Drive. It has to be, we have to be dealing with it right now. We're not in the business, we're more in the business of enforcement, and we're doing a great job.
And I just add further to that too, just another quality of life issue. We should mention that our street crime unit just had a successful narcotics raid, which is able to take someone off the street who's preying on, these individuals. So instead of getting people with possession down there, we're actually trying to take that to the next level and get the dealer, which we had success this weekend. So it was good for that unit.
So, okay, and I'll end on this note because we don't want to keep going. But thanks for bringing that up. But I guess my question is this: every time you see in the paper that this happens, and then all of a sudden, the people that you've caught that are guilty are released until their court date. I guess the community, including myself, are always wondering why are they back on the streets? Why?
It depends on their criminal history.
Okay.
And because of COVID, they're not housing a lot at Sleepy Hollow, so if they can release them on conditions, they will. They'll choose to do that first. The ones who are repeat offenders, chances are they will end up being held in custody.
Okay.
So
Just a question I
The
get.
system has detected that a few lines are still connected to the conference and will attempt to disconnect them. If you wish to remain in the conference, please press star 1. 15.
It should be like the House of Commons, and you have to be virtually brought
To
in.
dial out, please dial the area code and number that you wish to connect to the conference, followed by the pound sign. Press star to return to the
I
conference.
will again.
Councillor Drawn, you still there?
Could I ask, Mr. Chair, while we're waiting, or do you want? Could I just ask one last question?
Yes, you may. Last one. No.
The chief knows about this issue. Photo radar was brought up back in the early 2000s.
Okay, we'll call for adjournment.
And I see the fall sitting at the Legislative Assembly passed legislation to allow municipalities, correct? So is that a tool that we're looking at down the road?
Yeah, absolutely.
Welcome to Bell Conferencing.
We're looking at, we're in conversations with the province on a few things, for radar being one.
Welcome to Bell Conferencing Solutions. Please enter your conference ID followed by pound.
Which is a sensitive area, so if we do any sort of implementation, that will be the starting point.
I'm assuming there'll be a capital budget asked for that, chief?
Moderator has not yet
On
opened the
the,
phone. If you are the moderator, please press
Yeah.
star now.
So there's steps,
Please enter your
there's some
PIN
steps
followed
left before
by-
we get to that point of actually setting up forward radar.
You are the first
Because
participant to join
it's
this
a-
conference.
It's not a complicated system, but it requires a lot of, it
we
requires
are,
equipment, additional equipment, correct?
Yeah, it does, but we are well positioned with our e-watch to evolve into that.
Good,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, let's, all right, can I have a,
Mr. Chair?
you're welcome, your worship, anything for you? Motion to move into closed session as per section 119, 1B, undisclosed confidential information, and D, human resource matter of the MGA of PEI.
Sure.
Motion to move, second. All right, we're gonna move into a closed session.